Hello and welcome to another episode of my Thoughts and Feelings series. It's the video I do when I want to talk about things, just things that are going around in my head. So we're going to talk about Solo. It's the latest Star Wars film, came out about a week ago, and I'm just going to warn you now, spoilers for the movie, all the spoilers. So I wasn't sure about this movie when I kind of heard about it. It just seemed like it was a bit obvious. I don't know what they could really do with the character to elevate it in any discernible, meaningful way. And then obviously it's a prequel, so he was getting recast. There was a whole thing about that. I'm not a massive Star Wars fan, so none of this stuff really bothered me. Star Wars is great, you know, I get excited when the new ones come out, but I'm not like a fucking Star Wars is the best, and if you're raw, because apparently the Star Wars fans do that. The trailer came out and it seemed fine, not massively exciting, just I thought it was just going to be a normal fun time at the cinema, just paint by numbers, whatever. I watched the movie. That movie's no good. So I just wanted to talk about a couple of reasons that really annoyed me to the point where apparently I had to make a video about it. So that's what I'm going to do. So first of all, the problems with making a prequel movie, much like they did with the original trilogy, is you have all these things where what happens doesn't quite line up with the future. We see all these things that are happening, and then in all the movies we see him afterwards, there's no reference to it. There's kind of just nothing there, so it just feels very disconnected. And it was the same with Obi-Wan Kenobi in the original prequels. Had a whole massive adventure with C-3PO and R2-D2, and then he sees them in A New Hope and then just doesn't recognize them. It's like it never happened, because it didn't, and it was just written in for fan service, really. You can't have a Star Wars trilogy without R2-D2 and C-3PO, so they just kind of shoved them in there. There's bits in it like, okay, this was one of my biggest pet peeves, is when they give character traits or main things that we know about the character big origins, like we need to know everything about why this character is everything he is, and they do it with Han Solo's name, and it's like just the worst example of really lazy writing. Why is Han Solo called Han Solo? Because he's solo, because he was alone, and he finds himself running away from people on his home planet. They're after him, and he tries to sign up for the Empire. And also another thing, they canonize the Imperial March theme. Like, do you know the Vader theme that exists in the Star Wars universe? That's the Empire's music they play when they're recruiting. So that just almost entirely ruins that song. It makes me, now I think when I'm going to watch A New Hope, every time Vader walks on set and that music's playing, I'm just going to imagine him listening to fucking headphones in his helmet. Like, that's what he listens to psych himself up before he threatens women. So then he runs into an Imperial officer who's signing up recruits, and he asks his name. Han, what's your last name? Who are your people? I don't have any people. And then, like, just so over exaggerated. What shall I call you then? Solo. Han Solo. From now on, you will be Han Solo. And it's just, why do we need to know that? There's a reason we didn't find that out in A New Hope, in the first movie that Han Solo was introduced, because it's not important. It's only important now because it's very fan servicey. Like, ooh, this is all the details about the character, and like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like it's like, oh, now we know that about the character, because, you know, they just had a, like, if this movie was written 2 years from now, there'd be a completely different reason. That's not the original reason for his name. Why can't it just be his fucking name? Why, like, is it that weird that his name's Solo? And also, it's very strange that an Imperial officer, like just some dude, just some guy at a desk, named one of the biggest factors for the Empire's destruction, and also the current supreme leader of the First Order and grandkid of Darth Vader. Like, maybe it would have been fine if Han Solo was just a guy and that was his code name, but then he gave that name to his son. It's very strange. Not a fan. Like, there was a couple of action scenes. They're fine. Like, the action scenes were what they were. There's a train heist scene. That was fun. It's pretty hard to fuck up a train heist scene. The Marauders, the kind of sub bad guys. Bad guys, you find out later that they're not really bad guys. Their outfits were cool, kind of Mass Effect-y, and yeah, that was good. Except one of the main ones had like the Kylo Ren visor. Was there not any other mask design you could have? Just seems a bit strange. Like, it would have made sense if Ben Solo, before he was Kylo Ren, encountered that person and that was the inspiration, because that was one of the first masks. Look, it doesn't matter. It's just, maybe I'm just nitpicking to death, but it seemed a bit strange. Han Solo meets Chewie, and they have a fight. Han Solo falls down into a pit, or gets thrown into a pit, and he be fed to this beast that's not been fed in ages. Turns out to be Chewie. Chewbacca's about to kill Han Solo, and then Han Solo starts speaking Wookieean? I don't know. And first of all, it was strange that to see someone else who's not a Wookiee speak that language. It kind of came off a bit odd. Kind of came off a bit goofy. But then also had subtitles, and it only had subtitles for Han, and it didn't. And then they just dropped the subtitles immediately as soon as Chewie went to speak. No subtitles, so it's just like, pick one. The directors were replaced. Like over halfway through, they brought another director in. I understand that, and that's maybe why this movie wasn't great, but those lines were still written and they were still put in the movie. You don't get off still. So yeah, there's all these, like, Han gets given his blaster, and it's all very like, ooh, yes, because his blaster is from the title, and it's from the picture. It's yeah, this is blaster, very, very good. There's a scene where Han and Chewie sit in the Millennium Falcon for the first time, and it's like, and they do this every time, like, nostalgia happens. It's like a little button they press. We get it, Star Wars. Yeah, can you make the movie, please? Han Solo's asked to join the rebellion, and he's like, I'll never do that. And it's very like that, like, through the whole way through the movie. And I was literally rolling my eyes when I was watching this. Fan service, great. And that's all this movie is just one massive self-referential, like, because of what happens in the future. Star Wars. Like, I half expected there to be a scene where someone was going to be like, oh, you thinking of having kids when you're older, Han? Oh, no, because if I have kids, they'll probably end up killing me. Wink, wink. That's what happens. Get it? There seems to be no trace of, like, who he becomes. He's Star-Lord. This movie is a discount version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and you can feel it. Like, you can really, really tell that they were aiming for a Guardians feel in this movie, and Han Solo is basically just a Poundland version of Star-Lord. Quips like you wouldn't fucking believe. Every chance he gets, he's like saying something here, and ooh, I'm gonna do this funny thing, and I've got a plan. Then the plan fails, and oh, never mind, you go. Oh, I'm awkward and boyish. It's Star-Lord himself was inspired in part by Han Solo, so to have, like, Star-Lord is mainly the way he is because of Han Solo, and now the new Han Solo is mainly the way he is because of Star-Lord, and you get this really weird distilled version of what the character used to be, and I don't know, it's no good. You're your own franchise, you don't have to take from other franchises. Han Solo's been around way longer than, you don't need to piggyback off like the current trend. Just do your own thing. The thing that you've been doing for 30 plus years. You don't have to make it awkward for us all. So yeah, that's it. I mean, this isn't a review. This is just a rant, apparently, about how bad I thought the movie was. Lando was good. Donald Glover as Lando. Nothing to complain about there. He's good. He's really good. Movie probably should have just been about him. This just seems like they had an opportunity to make a good movie and then just filled it with references and hair. Subscribe if you want to. I suppose I'm going to do more of these videos, so if you like that, click here. It'll stay there. And here's another video of the last one I did on God of War. Really good game. So it's not all doom and gloom. There are good things in the world.